Data lakes did not quite pan out. So now it's all about an abstraction layer and machine learning to save the day. Hopefully, machine learning can cleanse your data on the fly, since humans have proved repeatedly that they aren't meticulous enough. For ZDNet and Tech Republic in New York, I'm Dan Patterson with Larry Digdon. Larry, the great science hope is on, and that is machine learning. Will AI save the day?
It kind of has to. There's not much of a choice. So a couple developments in the data science world. So for one, the idea with big data just say a few years ago was that you take all your stuff, all your databases, all unstructured data, everything, throw it in this thing called a data lake, and then you would be able to pluck it out and manage it, and it sounded like nirvana. Problem is, a lot of this data has been, screwed up for years. Humans aren't, and enterprises aren't necessarily good at cleaning it and, making it standardized and all that kind of stuff. So without the metadata and all the like blocking and tackling in the background in these databases, it was basically, you're just putting crap in and getting crap out. So IBM, a bunch of other vendors such as Cloudera is working on this. So is Hortonworks. But the idea is basically to do for what virtualization did for the server, which is kind of create a layer to manage this stuff. And the idea, and this is something thrown out there by IBM, is that you're going to take machine learning and it's going to go into your data and basically fix it up. It's going to, put metadata to it. It's going to clean up things. It's going to make connections to various, moving parts. And that will take the humans out of it to a good degree. And then you'll actually be able to do this nirvana, which frankly, we've all been chasing for 2 years or more like 2 decades. So, before big data was, data warehousing, it was extract, transform, and load. There's so many acronyms here that it just gets crazy. But the bottom line is that people have been trying to manage your data forever and failing miserably. So I think what companies are starting to realize, and probably enterprises too to some degree, is you got to use machine learning to fix this problem and sort of set the data up so the humans can do the analysis and all that kind of stuff. So it's basically trying to take the grunt work out of something and make it more digestible for us mere humans.
So will this create a competitive imbalance between companies that have access to sophisticated and robust machine learning as opposed to those who don't?
Well, we kind of already see that. I mean, the companies like Google, Amazon, Apple, Baidu, Facebook, they've all focused on machine learning. That's because they can invest in those data science folks. They can invest in the engineering. They can hire your PhDs from academia, all that good stuff. What a lot of the tech vendors in the big data space are trying to do now is democratize that a bit, right? So that's where the machine learning comes in, because the reality is there's a shortage of skills, right? And to manipulate this data, you need to know a lot. You need to be part data admin, part scientist, part Tableau expert. You have to do a lot. So I think the idea is here to automate that. You might be able to democratize it a bit more. Because, I mean, we've seen it in every industry, right? The company that manages their data well and gets the big data game down usually is number one. And then you have your followers and all that kind of stuff. So I think that's something the whole industry is kind of looking at, frankly, is just how you create that abstraction layer so you can manage this stuff and kind of just make sense of it all, because it's never ending, right? And it's only sped up. So if you have, petabytes of screwed up data and you don't get a handle on it at some point, you're just got more petabytes and petabytes of screwed up data on top of it. So it's a problem that it's just compounding itself. So that's why people are chasing machine learning, the abstraction layer and all that kind of.
I'm glad you mentioned messed up data. Are there ways that companies can retroactively fix problems that may have occurred due to human error, or will companies that had errors or unclean data forever be sitting on a data set that isn't quite accurate?
That's an eternal conundrum. How far back do you go to rehab data? and that almost varies by company. I mean, I think the biggest thing is the company's discipline, right? It's all basic stuff, like having a data dictionary, like what these terms are, metadata, just basic blocking and tackling things that humans typically neglect because it's hard. So I don't know how far back companies should go. I don't think there's not like one rule. But the general rule of thumb is you focus on fixing the data going forward, because you can't spend your whole life going backwards, and there's probably not a payoff there, right? So you might go back a year or two. I mean, and the other thing is, depends on how much the data actually hits your earnings and revenue line. Like if your data's screwy and you're missing quarters, well, yeah, you're going to go back and make that work. If not, you probably just let it keep flowing. I mean, because the velocity of the data is so fast right now that, problems kind of run down the river a lot faster than they used to.
You can read Larry's entire post called The Great Data Science Hope by visiting ZDNet. And while you're there, make sure you subscribe to ZDNet's Tech Today newsletter.